Good morning, I'm James Gruber and welcome to the Morning Report for Wednesday the 15th of July. Well, US markets rebounded overnight and it was down to two things. First, new figures showed US consumer prices in June rose 3.5%, well below the 3.8% market forecast. The index fell 0.4% from May in June, thanks in part to easing oil prices. It was the first time that the CPI had fallen in June since 2020. Following the report, traders sharply pared back expectations for near-term policy tightening, with about a 17% chance of a quarter-point rate increase at the Fed's upcoming July meeting, down from 40% before the data. But markets are still factoring in a rate rise by December. Secondly, earnings from the big US banks were generally positive, with JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon declaring that, quote, markets are booming right now and it's as close to as good as it gets. Let's take a deeper look at now what's happened with Aussie futures, commodities and currencies. The ASX is poised to open higher with index futures up 0.6%. As for the ASX 200 yesterday, it closed unchanged at 8,809 points as gains in energy offset losses in banks and technology. Today is likely to be a positive day for energy and mining names given the lift in commodity prices overnight. And on those commodity markets, global oil prices edged up to a one-month high after the US reimposed a naval blockade on Iran. Brent crude futures settled 1.7% higher at $84.73 a barrel. Base metal prices were higher on Tuesday, US time. Copper futures climbed 1.6%, hitting a three-week high on signs of firmer demand and shortages in China, supply worries due to escalating tensions in the Middle East, and a weaker US dollar. Meanwhile, aluminium futures gained 0.6%. Gold futures rose after the softer-than-expected inflation data boosted hopes of the US Federal Reserve adopting a less hawkish stance. The futures settled up 1.6% at $4,070 an ounce. Meantime, iron ore futures gained after figures showed that Chinese imports of iron ore hit a six-month high in June. The futures settled 0.6% higher at $98.92 a tonne. Let's now take a look at currencies. The Aussie dollar was last trading 0.7% higher at 69.70 US cents. And going back a step now to see how Wall Street and other world markets did, the Dow Jones index finished flat, the S&P 500 was up 0.4% and the Nasdaq rose 0.9%. A closer look at the trading day there, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq rose after the inflation data and upbeat bank earnings. Goldman Sachs gained 9% after it exceeded second quarter profit expectations as deal-making picked up pace. JP Morgan Chase added 2.5% after reporting higher second quarter profit. Bank of America, meanwhile, gained almost 2% after beating estimates for second quarter profit. On the other hand, Wells Fargo and Citigroup eased 2.6% and 5.3% respectively, even after upbeat quarterly results. The S&P 500 financial sector was up 0.2%, while technology led the gains with a 1.3% rise. But IBM shares tumbled 25% after the software and consulting firm forecast preliminary second quarter revenue below estimates. Meantime, US government bond yields fell after that US CPI data slowed more than expected. The US 10-year Treasury yield slipped 2 points to 4.59%, while the US 2-year Treasury yield dropped 7 points to 4.19%. Moving to the European markets, the continent-wide FTSE Euro First 300 index ended 0.1% higher and the UK FTSE 100 added 0.3%. Europe was higher after the American CPI figures, though escalating Middle East tensions kept a lid on gains. Basic materials jumped 2.4% as metal prices rallied against the weaker US dollar. European oil and gas stocks climbed 1.3%, tracking higher crude oil prices, while travel and leisure slipped 1.3%. Energy giant BP said it expects stronger oil and gas prices to lift second quarter earnings. Its shares gained 2.3%. And software-related companies SAP and Capgemini fell 2.8% and 1.6% respectively, after IBM warned the AI boom is squeezing software budgets. So let's take a look at what's on the watch list. In Australia, several companies are providing quarterly updates today, including Rio Tinto, Evolution Mining, Ampol, and Auckland International Airport. In the US, there are quarterly earnings reports from Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, Johnson & Johnson, Bank of New York, and United Airlines. The Producer Price Index will also be released. And that's it for today. For further developments on the local trading session, please tune into the CommSec Market Update podcast this afternoon and, of course, the Market Close video. Have a great day.